I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there.
I want to talk about entitlement, like what are we really entitled to as employees? And are people acting more entitled than they should? Yes, they are. This video was inspired by a post on LinkedIn by my peer and fellow Prezzo guy Boris. He said this, just a friendly advice for everyone applying for a new job, or maybe a reminder. In the last few weeks, we opened 2 positions for 356 Labs presentation agency. Many people DM'd me, starting the conversation with what they want and expect from us as the employer. No interest in what the role is about, no interest in what we're looking for in candidates. Nothing. Listen, lovely people, there are ways and time to communicate your expectations. What's more, every employer wants to know them. The best ones will even try to go beyond them if they believe you're the right fit. Ask questions, be curious, show that you care, then share your expectations and tell us what you're looking for. You might be surprised by the results. Now, I love this response from Boris, even if I think he's being a wee bit nicer than I would about the whole thing.
I completely agree.
Guys, the tail is wagging the dog. I keep hearing speakers talk about how to talk to Gen Z. Look, if you're a marketer selling products to them, or you're trying to hire the very, very, very best Gen Z candidate, then maybe listen to that talk. For the rest of you though, the script should be flipped. The younger generation needs to be learning how to deal with us. Well, at least if they want the job. I promise you, when we were younger, baby boomers were not reading articles about how to speak to Gen X.
Swear, I don't understand kids these days.
Right, this should be absolutely logical. It's still our time. Just because they're young and we're told by their helicopter parents to believe that they're special doesn't mean that they are. And even if they are special and you want them, we still need to set reasonable expectations for them. Doing less than that is actually a disservice to the younger generation. Guys, life is hard and work is hard. That's why it's called work. Acting like they're the second coming of great employees when they're barely past intern stage is ridiculous. No, things are getting out of hand and we're letting them. More on that shortly. In my new book, Relentless Relevance, I talk about the tech team at New York Times threatening to go on strike if their demands weren't met. And they wanted to go on strike over the US presidential elections last year. So here are a list of their demands. I'm going to read you from the book now. They want a 4-day work week, significant increase in pay, full coverage of all healthcare premiums for employees and family members, full cover, guaranteed RSU grants, non-performance based annual bonuses, a ban on scented products in break rooms. Guys, I need to know the story behind this. Unlimited break time, accommodations for pet bereavement, mandatory trigger warnings in company meetings, for fuck's sakes, more money for non-white staff to attend conferences, that's just illegal, and language that would prioritize non-citizens in the US on visas in the case of layoffs. Illegal, but actually, there's something to that. Fire them all. Are you kidding me? Alright, so let's look at my response in the book. There are many here that I believe to be absurd, but let's just focus on one for now. Non-performance based annual bonuses. First off, it's worth noting that these demands would amount to 100 million over 3 years. However, even if they didn't add up to so much, how could this be a demand? Having a job is not complicated. It's an exchange of value. I trade my time for your money.
Logical.
It's really just that simple. If I want more money, the only way I can do that is make spending of my time more valuable to my employers. Now, as a person who's run a company for 27 years, I certainly understand there's a bit more to it than this. As an employer, I will allow for reasonable amounts of annual leave. I will allow for maternity leave when a child is born. I will allow for sick and compassionate leave within reason. I will ensure that you're given reasonable conditions to perform your work in a safe, collaborative environment. Those are the basic conditions, and I understand they're subject to change by generations, but for the most part, those are them. Now, as an employee, you will undertake to perform your work according to our agreed upon standards to the best of your ability, and you will agree to function as part of the organization and abide by its values and mission, etc. Not your own. If you do not like the values of the organization, certainly don't work there. This is it. This is the sum total of what you're entitled to. Actually, that's not true. There's one more thing that you're entitled to. You're also entitled to start your own company and run it literally any way that you want.
Good point.
Anything else is generosity, for which gratitude would be nice. This might be unpopular, but it's factual. So why has this happened? Who's to blame? Well, for starters, companies like Facebook and Google and Twitter, they offer these celebrity chefs and heaps of other benefits, but here's why they can do it. They can do it because they're trying to attract the top 1% of graduates from the top 1% of courses from the top 1% of universities in the world. And the people that are that good are in demand. They can command that type of treatment because they can change those companies for the better and the world for the worse, but that's another story. If you are that good, as for the world. The rest of us, we're not that special though. We're less than 99th percentile and we're the 51st. As an employer, I want to, and quite famously have, attracted higher than my fair share of brilliant employees over the years.
Andrew,
My God.
And we did this because we offered fun perks: a stretch limo for date nights, free tattoos, a barber and a masseuse, award-winning officers, spot bonuses, lunch, food, things, whatever. But here's the kicker. None of that was in anyone's contract. All of this was an extra. Their contract was simply for the fair trade of value mentioned above. Everything else was generosity. And we let them know that in the interview. We once cancelled staff lunches that cost us a fortune because people were taking them for granted and there was no gratitude for them. There's a reason that this video needed to be made. Two reasons, in fact. And one is I'm going to cover in detail in next week's video. Spoiler alert, it's us that's to blame. My generation and the generation that came after me. The other reason, though, is that managing your expectations correctly is helpful fuel for those in pursuit of happiness. You'll be happier if you accept less, and you'll be less stressed if you practice gratitude. Nobody can be grateful and anxious at the same time. You can't be happy for what you received in the past or present and simultaneously stressed about what you may not get in the future. So off you go. Work hard and be proud to be paid a fair wage. You earned just that.